Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the very first match of this bracket stages for the WC 2025, opposing Seed 7 Sweden against Seed 26 Japan. I'm Subaru Rima, and commentating this match today with me will be Floflorian. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How about you?
Really excited for this first match. We're going to see some really heavy hitters, at least on one side, but maybe surprising performances from our seed underdog as Japan. We saw very interesting performances from multiple players in the qualifiers. I think, obviously, the standout, like both sides combined, would be Scylla being the second best performer, second to only RNG, I believe, in the qualifier stage. But on the other side, we were talking about it actually earlier, is a kind of newer performer for the Japanese side, being Hifu, being their top performer in qualifiers, even besting Outilling and Konkon Kinekon, who I believe were the two players most people were carefully watching regarding Japan's team. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to do against Sweden.
Yeah, absolutely. Hifu, as you said, a rather newer tournament player, but half of the Japan team is quite new in tournaments. It seems like, just looking at their ratings, the past tournament performances, they haven't played many tournaments before, so this could be, of course, a factor going into this game. Overall, I would certainly still say that Sweden is heavily favored in this match, but Japan cannot be counted out here. This is a lower star rating, and it is a bit RNG, of course. But yeah, gonna be exciting to see.
The lower star rating is good to mention, as it is a recurring theme for this year, a bit of descaling compared to last year's map pools. And that might play into Sweden's hand a little bit more, actually, because their roster actually has a lot of tournament experience overall. Most of their players have made at least one appearance in even their OWC teams, so that being leaded by Captain Saika and, of course, star player Scylla must be a reassuring presence to have in any team. So, like you said, so far on paper, Sweden looking like the heavy favorites, but with Japan having a bit of a new team, I'm at least hoping to see a few points on their side, because it's always interesting to see an underdog story. And there were actually a few maps in the qualifiers on which Japan managed to best Sweden scores, most notably Nomad 3, Hidden 1, and DT3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. Japan has had some very outstanding performances, unfortunately just not being able to get good scores on maps like the Hard Rock. But they have shown that they can do really good. It's gonna be quite contending here, especially in old maps. It seems like Japan has been pulling through very strongly, but even some other maps, they have had some, at least in the accuracy play, they have had some very similar scores to Sweden, just not the combos. That is the most important part, of course. One person also in the Sweden team, not a very experienced player, I think rather new to the tournament scene, is gonna be Hio, who has been performing quite well in qualifiers, but still definitely could be potentially some upsetting scores here that might surprise us here. But Big Japan, also with the newer players towards tournaments, they have potential to really come out, and if they get used to the setting, they could do some amazing stuff. So I'm kind of excited to see him perform this time.
And reorienting a little bit the ban phase, we did see Hard Rock 1 being banned by Japan, and expectedly Nomad 3 being banned by Sweden. As we did mention earlier, Japan had one of the rare victories in qualifiers against Sweden on that very Nomad 3, this alt skill set. And when you look at their roster, it makes a lot of sense. And actually, what's interesting to note is that historically, their strongest alt player was, at least in 4-digit range, was oftentimes regarded to be Outilling. And he actually got the lowest score for them on the Nomad 3 in qualifiers. So if you take this as a basis that Outilling did slightly underperform on that alt map, their potential is probably even higher on the skill sets. So Nomad 3 being banned makes a lot of sense, but there is another kind of alti map, and that map will be in Fremont 3, so maybe a bit of a solution for Japan in the early stages of this match, but now we're going to wait for Sweden's first pick.
Yes, just as I said, and to be expected from Japan to ban a Hard Rock map, it's going to be the AIM Hard Rock with a few bursts in there, of course, very long map. They do not want to dribble into this map against Sweden, who has been C3 on the Hardrocks, and both Hardrocks, in fact, in the qualifiers. Does make sense, and we see the Nomad 1 pick, a very non-standard aim map. It has a lot of weird wiggle bursts. It has a bit of an aim control-ish power. It's hard to explain this map for really, but yeah, it surely is a banger.
It's a bit of a more modern take on the Nomad 1 slot, and definitely I would say a bit less conventional than last week's. But this does make a lot of sense for Sweden's first pick. We don't usually see a lot of first picks into Nomad 1, but considering the difference was almost by a million points between those two teams in the qualifiers, I think Sweden can confidently step in, looking to be very dominant on the aim. We already see 3 players on each side being fit into the rosters, so hopefully Sweden have thought this through and are feeling very confident. As you never can be too careful on Nomad 1 picks, as they are often regarded as some of the more gambly RNG type of picks. So you got to be really confident.
Yeah, I think this one's certainly not as gambly as other Nomad 1s might be. This one is extremely hard to FC. I've played throughout the entire pool myself, and I've tilted a little bit of the Nomad 1. You feel like you can FC it, but for some reason you always miss somewhere, and I think it's gonna be for quite a few players in this match as well. And I think the main plan for Sweden is going to be picking these harder maps, these more difficult maps, try to outscale the opponents. You've got Skilla, who's going to be able to FC every single map. You've got, of course, also Melwem, Blue, Lightning Fox, Grippy, all of these insane players who have shown some super strong performances in previous tournaments so often already. And despite Japan having a quite strong top 4 roster, they just do not have these supporting players. And if you dribble into these super difficult gimmicky picks, I think they can massively abuse them.
Yeah, so we're going to take a start into this Nomad 1 map. So as you did point out, the rosters are set, ready. No Psycha for this map. It's going to be Grippe, Melwin Blue, and Scylla on Sweden's side. And actually no Autoline for this aim pick. I do believe he did play it for Japan in the qualifiers. I'm just going to check that real quick. Yes, he did. So yeah, surprisingly a bit of a roster shift for Japan. But that, as we did point out, this is a very different style Nomad 1, so maybe something different can happen with different players.
Yes,
so far, early accolade for Sweden in this intro.
Yes, and to see 36R, who has not been performing very well, only played one single map throughout the entire qualifier, and hopping in for that number 1, maybe just feeling a little bit better on this one. And yeah, all of the players are looking quite good at the start. It's very easy to break early on. It's not as simple as it might seem, but it certainly is still the easiest part of the map. And the further we go in, even early on at around 400 combo, it can get quite difficult already for some people.
And so far, though, on the accuracy, we see a lot more comfort on the side of Sweden, as only Concon is really matching up with the Swedish accuracy so far. But as you did say, we're going to reach this 400 combo mark for the first real disc spike. And Grippe is actually going to be the first one to miss, traded with 36R. So 3 FCs on each side so far, really equal. Or bar basically even, but Fuhanpan is not going to miss as well. So a bit of a combo lead now for Sweden on their first pick. We're only a third way through, though.
2 FCs on the Japan side versus 3 FCs from Sweden. And now here at the slower part, Sweden has a bit of time to capitalize on this combo advantage they have right now. Of course, they still have to keep it up, and Skilla just not being bothered at all, still SS-ing the map. Even his teammates, both of them, one of them almost at 99%, while the other is at 99%. So feeling super good on their side. And now at this next KI with Melwon being next person to break. So even out here on the combo, still slight advantage for Sweden just on this early lead here. But this can certainly fall apart. Shupan is breaking once again on Japan's side, but that is not the most important combo over here. Hifu and Concon still holding, trying to keep their life for their own team.
It's only about an 80k difference, and the recoveries on 36R and Grippe are basically even, so it's only this very slightly on Melwin compared to Shubanpan. But yeah, 2 FCs apiece, and very close so far. We're going to reach the last quarter of the map, and it still could go either way. 90k difference. Sweden are not out of the woods yet on their first pick, so this is what we were talking about earlier, with Nomad 1 being a bit of a risky pick to open the match, as if one of the two FCs finds a break right after this break, it basically will instantly swing back to Japan.
Yeah, Hifu and Konkon, the strongest players in the Japanese team, trying to keep it alive as much as possible. The further we go, the more pressure will build up, and the players will start to feel it. Further going to this map, people might be breaking a bit more here, but still looking good here for the Swedish side.
36R missing, dropping the recovery.
Yes, and that is not a good sign here for Japanese. 200,000 score difference already for the Swedish team, and growing. Map is pretty much over at this point, and Sweden taking this map quite confidently. Skilla almost assessing here, dropping just a little bit of more accuracy here towards the end.
Yeah, of course. Let's not talk about Skilla's accuracy. Obviously, 400 is brilliant score on Skilla's side. And yeah, brilliant effort on the side of Japan. Two FCs, Hifu and Konkon, doing everything they could, but only the recovery is really making the difference. Mel and Grippe, slightly better recoveries than Japanese players. 36R's lateness really buried any chances they had, but Blue and Scylla being way too stabilized in this map, not bring this first Nomad 1 pick to the side of Sweden. So far, a pretty good match opener for them. They're going to be pretty happy about that. Also, just a side note, don't really trust the bottom of the overlay. This was not the hidden 2. This was Nomad 1. I don't know why it says hidden 2.
Yes, and I have to say, I believe Japan would have won quite a few matches, quite a few maps against other teams if they had played this Nomad 1 against them. So
yeah, definitely.
Quite a statement from them, really. They certainly weren't out of bag. If any miss on the Swedish side here in the middle on one of their FCs could have immediately turned it towards the Japanese side, would have been the first breakpoint. So that is a bit dangerous to play against. And again, on a map that is, you could say, certainly not the easiest one on the pool. And we see now the Fremont 1 pick here from the Japanese. Also, it's hard to say what this map kind of is. It's a bit speedy, but it's not. There's aim in it, there's burst in it, there's some kind of finger control-ish in it. It's hard to really describe this map.
I would say it's basically density aim with all-round mechanics. What's very interesting to note though is that this is the first Fremont map we're going to see in the bracket stage, and this is a very good point to mention that some teams with stronger reading easy players might want to take advantage of that. There are very strong easy multipliers on some of these maps. For example, this one has a 2.4 multiplier, so you got some of those stronger reading players like Scylla or Konkon might want to take advantage of that. So yeah. I definitely understand this first pick for Japan, and as you did mention, the lower star ratings are going to make this match a lot closer than it seems on paper. So I'm hoping for something good on Japan's side for this first pick.
Yeah, the possible easy here on the side of Scylla, maybe even an easy hidden if he's crazy. Yeah, gonna be interesting to see these rosters. Of course, we haven't seen any free mod stats in the qualifiers because there was no free mod in the qualifiers. It's safe to say that all teams that have qualified for WC this year are gonna have these rosters to play this. You only need one person playing, or two people playing, for example, the harder and hidden. Maybe you could explain more on the pick on the mod rules.
Alright, so once again, this is not the hidden 2, this is a pre-mod 1, so this is not a match filled with hidden 2s, don't worry people. We're going to see a lot of different skill sets, and this is another one of them. The rosters are built. This time we're going to see Autoline step in for Japan.
Yes, we see also Raimei, who's going to be playing hidden for sure.
Oh, definitely. Saika making his first appearance as well.
Interesting to see Raimei on a map like this. Raimei is gonna be a very, very strong reading player for the Japanese team. Has been playing a lot of 5k plus tournaments, even some 10k plus tournaments in the past, and has proven themselves quite well. Has not performed well in the qualifiers, unfortunately. I feel like they could have done a lot better there, but now I feel like it is their chance to show what they can really do, and it's gonna be easy. So it really is the easy play here for Raimei. Super strong reading player, as I said previously, and yeah, also one no mod.
We are seeing the easy, as you did point out. Only one, it appears to be, but that will be a good indicator of what kind of strength an easy player can bring to a team on those Fremont maps with such heavy multipliers. You got to think about some of the higher seeded players, higher seeded teams, sorry, with easy specialized players. I think the example that spoke to most people was Gambler on Team South Korea, who definitely is going to shine in those regards, being very, very scary as an easy player. So hopefully we get a good showing from Rame here.
Yes, Gambler, of course, one of the best reading players in the world. And that will be probably the main mod for Gambler throughout the entire tournament. But yeah, this time it's only gonna be Remy with that easy. Everyone else is going to play either Hidden or Hard Rock.
Yeah,
of course, gonna be perma-lobbing.
I think someone like Konkon could as well take the easy on the occasional map, but wants to go Hidden here, which is also very understandable. Very strong reading player and the Hidden player all around, so it does make a lot of sense. And so that will be the overmodding on the side of Japan. Chupon being the first one to miss on the Hard Rock very early in the map. Not going to be too impactful for the overall score. Saisuke is going to trade it on the Nomad. That's kind of the stability player, so you don't want to see your Nomad player fall so early in the map, as Autoling is going to follow up also.
Yes, I've played this map with Nomad, and it felt a little bit easier even to play with Hard Rock. I've had the opinion from other players as well, so this map is so unique in its own that sometimes it's just a bit better to play this map with Hard Rock. But it is, as you said, there's already 3 FCs gun on the side of Japan, while there's only 1 FC gun on the side of Sweden. So Sweden's gonna be building up now, and the rest of Japan's gonna have a hard time here. Gonna need to keep up building these combos, but Autoline is once again breaking on this map. Traded by Grippy, and that's a good trade here for Japan. Still 2 FCs on the side of Sweden and 1 recovering combo, but the miss here from Shuponpon is not good.
Shuponpon unfortunately not really finding his footing, being largely outclassed by Grippe on the Hard Rock on this map, and so far score advantage still in favor of Sweden based on these 2 full combos. On the bottom row, once again, this time it's Couch accompanying Scylla on the FC, and Saika with a brilliant recovery, with only really just Konkon on the FC, and Rame with a reverse choke, but so far the combo advantage is largely in favor of Sweden.
Oh my god, Couch is shaking so badly.
Yeah, Couch is shaking a lot. Even if Couch were to miss, though, I think Sweden would still be okay, as this is a 350k lead, so... And the easy multiplier is already being counted on the overlay.
And here we are. Couch, of course, very unhappy about that.
Autoling.
Yes, but Rame kind of building up some big combo here, really showing what reading means on that easy. Despite, as you said, despite Couch missing, it's just the score is barely going towards the Japanese side. Couch breaking once again, Autoline trading immediately back, Grippy building up a combo once again, and Skilla is just chilling, no shake, nothing. It does not matter for Skilla.
Unfortunately, that Couch miss came a bit too late in the map for Japan to really have a hope. They did manage to decrease the lead by about 100k, but it's going to be a break point for Sweden. And as you did mention, Scylla with the second FC in the row, this time matched by Konkon Kinakon on the Hidden. Double Hidden FC, actually, to be pointed out, and only a 1 miss on Rame, so really showing the easy prowess. But will not be enough for Japan's first pick, and it will be an opening break point for Sweden. And now looking to push this to 3-0. They're probably going to stay into the more mechanics-oriented picks.
Yeah, quite a few maps they could be going for. I wouldn't be picking something like the Hidden 2 if it was Sweden. It's interesting in regards to reading. So we have seen Japan completely outperforming, Sweden outperforming Japan on... Okay, I was looking at the wrong one here. So Sweden very strong, of course, on the reading. A lot stronger than Japan on the reading. So Hidden 2 is very much in the possibility here.
Hidden 2 might be a possibility. They could stay into more mechanics-oriented picks. Like Nomad 2 could be a solution, DT1, DT2. I think actually DT3 might be a good pick for Sweden.
Yeah, DT3 on as a very well-known map, very difficult to FC, could absolutely be picked by the Swedish team, but it is also a bit dangerous. It is so easy to break on that map, and it's gonna be the DT1, so it's gonna be, as you said, more mechanics. And another absolute banger. It seems like Sweden just wants to play the bangers.
Yeah. I'm hoping we see some DT3 picks during this weekend. I really love this map, but DT1 is going to be so far. So yeah, really staying into those aim mechanics for Sweden's picks. I don't think we're going to see too many roster swaps on the side of Sweden. On the side of Japan, however, we might see some of those gimmickier players step out. And that doesn't really bode well for Japan, as some of their stronger players are mainly gimmick-oriented. So looking like a dominant pick on paper for Sweden, but hopefully Japan can make something happen. I believe the score gap was pretty massive between these two teams on the qualifiers. Yeah, it was about 1,400,000 points, so...
Yeah, but I think this time Hio is gonna come in. Yeah, he is. Uldulan Bolhav. What an insane name. First time showing up, has only played 2 maps in the qualifiers, but has performed quite well on both of them. And yes, it's probably, as you said, on the side of Sweden, the roster is not gonna change that much. It seems like Blue is jumping in here. And the 4th player probably coming up soon, but yeah, this map is quite a sight to behold. It's not only just an absolute banger, but it's so aim focused, no burst essentially, just going full through and very comfortable even if you're a single tapper. I feel like I've played it myself and it just felt really good to play. But also so easy to miss on anywhere. It's so consistently difficult.
Yeah, it's the type of map where you'll find a basic comfort, but then find the awkward miss here and there, which can be frustrating to practice on. So hopefully Sweden knows what they're doing. They knew what they did on the Nomad 1, so no reason to doubt them here. And they got the funny name buff, so Uldulan Bolhav probably gonna bring a lot of stability to this roster. On the side of Japan, we do see Autoline staying in for this one actually, and Suaban making his first appearance in this match. So this is going to be Sweden's second big opportunity to put this at 3-0, and Japan are looking for a bit of a solution here as they did not manage to win their first pick. And Suaban is going to be the first one in this.
Yes, Suaban with that miss, not a good start. This map is not that long either, so this could be a bit painful. Gets traded back by Hio, so it's pretty even once again here on the sides. Slight favor here for Team Sweden just on these accuracies, struggling here on the side of Autoline and Suban, and this Autoline clicking with one key and one mouse button. Am I crazy?
Oh yeah, Autoline is a TapX player, so this is the type of player who has this very awkward play style, but very admirable. I think Haga is also in Japan known for this playstyle. So far, the full combo is holding only on Autoline and Konkon on Japan's side as Shubaban dropped, and Konkon is going to follow this up. So we did see another miss on Blue on the side of Sweden, so now it's 2 FCs to 1, but the recovery also on the side of Sweden. And as you did mention, this huge accuracy gap making this score lead just skyrocket all the way about 700k difference towards the end of this map. This was a 4 map, but damn, man, what is Scylla doing? 3rd FC in the row, and look at this accuracy. The man just never misses. FC machine.
Looking at Hio's score here, even better accuracy, just this one miss, almost SSing the map. Wow, just incredible stuff here. Despite not maybe playing that many maps, just showing off in the maps they can play, and wow, almost SSing this map.
Yeah, huge accuracy on Scylla. This time also Melwim accompanying him on the FC team. And we did see one full combo on the side of Japan. Actually, Japan's team score was not that bad. 3.2 million is nothing to scoff at on this map, but Sweden looking so comfortable. And now Japan already is 3-0, and this is on a best of 9. It goes pretty quickly. So you want to look at those gimmick here picks on the side of Japan. You want to look at hit 1. You want to look at that 3-3. Find a solution to stop the bleeding, as Sweden right now just flying away with the momentum.
Yeah, and it is only a best of 9, I believe, and that is quite dangerous already. Sweden with 3 points ahead, just 2 points away from winning this. And it is now the pick for Japan, but where is Japan gonna go to? Are they gonna maybe go with the 3-3? Are they gonna go for something else? It's gonna be the Nomo 2. That is an interesting pick. Nomo 2 is a bit of a coin toss. I feel like Nomo 2 rather one of the easier maps in that pool, but we've seen Skilla just assessing even the harder Nomo 2s. We've seen Melvin, Saika, and Grippy, all of these players just incredible in their own right here. And on the side of Japan, it's Konkon, of course, Shulpon, who has performed extremely well on a Nomo 2, but the rest of the team just wasn't able to pull through. We're just not that lucky, it seems like, with these plays. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this one is gonna go. Probably a pick that is purely just on the idea of a coin toss. I think all of the players going into this lobby should be able to FC this map. This is a map that could potentially go even like for 8 players FCing it, just how simple and straight up this map is.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I kind of see the point of this pick as Sweden among the top 4-digit teams were never really known as this super dominant powerhouse of a tapping team. Of course, they can play it very well, but on the consistency, you would rather favor other top teams on that kind of skill set. So maybe Japan really exploiting the consistency gap and hoping for 1 or 2 shit misses on the side of Sweden and just fly away with this. So I can kind of understand it. I wouldn't say this skill set favors Japan that much on paper, but the carry players on the side of Sweden are not particularly known for really being super strong tapping players, mostly. But yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on this pick. I think there could have been better maps for Japan, but maybe they know something I don't, and will absolutely destroy this map, so who knows?
Yeah, it's always a bit difficult on lower seed versus the higher seed, especially if there is so much of a difference. Sweden, of course, seed 7, and I believe Japan like seed 26 or something like that. So it's always hard, and what weaker teams do, or teams that are seeded a lot lower, is that they go for these coin flipping maps, for maps that everyone can FC and try to capitalize on that. And we are going now into this map. Starting out on this Nomo 2. It starts very early on. It's a very short map as well. And I think we're gonna see very quickly who's gonna feel better here. First break here, very unfortunate from 36R.
36R, unfortunately, not really finding his footing in this match so far. Did struggle a bit earlier, but hopefully can stabilize a little bit more, as we did see a bit of an accuracy drop on Grippe, actually. So the lead is going to stay in Japan's favor so far, but now Shubanban with the second break on the side of Japan. Going to swing it back to Sweden with the 4-way full combo, despite the accuracy deficit on the side of Sweden.
Yeah, but as long as Sweden keeps up these combos, it's going to be really hard. But Grippe is the first person to miss here, maybe over-aimed a little bit here. Just not good on his side, and that really evens it out. You can see the score just going left and right. Both of these teams fighting for their best here. Japan now taking for the first time in this entire match even the slightest lead. Another break here from Grippy. 30,000 points ahead now for Japan, but 36R trades it back. It's gonna even it up, but that was not an FC. That was the last score they could have needed to worry about. The map's only gonna get harder. It doesn't really get harder. It only keeps being more pretty much like this.
This is going to be so close, as the combo advantage is back in favor of Sweden with that place on 36R. But yeah, so far the accuracy for Japan is just slightly keeping them in this. It's going to swing over to Sweden pretty soon. Only about 10,000 point difference. It's shrinking. Now we're hitting the second stream section. 36R is going to miss once again. You want one of those 3 full combos to miss on the side of Sweden if you're hoping for a point for Japan. 36R chain missing a little bit more, but Grippe also missed earlier a lot. So the lead is only about 100k, but it's growing now. But now it's also a final miss for Japan, maybe being the nail in the coffin. Melvin is going to trade it. Still 2 full combos on Saika and Scylla. They don't look like they want to let this go, despite Konkon's best effort and Shubanpan with a fantastic recovery. The accuracy, generally speaking, on Japan being really high, but not looking to be enough, unfortunately, as the lead did grow to about a 250k difference in the favor of Sweden. And it is going to be another breakpoint and the 4-0 lead for Sweden with their own pick to come, despite Japan's best efforts. Nearly 3 million points on this Nomo 2. Actually, they might reach it. Oh, no, not quite. Not quite. We'll say it's 3 million, but unfortunately, Sweden just being too consistent on the skill set, and nearly 3 FCs with that 1 miss on Melvin. What a great performance.
Yeah, very unfortunate here for 36R. It seems like it's pure. I feel like
That was
36R
slight
is
of
perfectly
also.
capable of seeing this map, but it might really just be the inexperience in tournaments, maybe not used to this setting, to this pressure that you are under. It does make sense, certainly, but yeah, Sweden gonna be leading 4 points already. I think Scylla FC'd every single map to this point, and
Yep, not
Yeah.
a single miss to be found on Scylla so far.
bit dangerous, of course, and it's going to be the pick of Sweden,
Perhaps
so they
he's going
could
for the
really
5-5.
capitalize on that. I don't think we're gonna see something like the DT2 here from the side of Sweden. I think they're gonna go into some more difficult map, maybe even the harder 2.
Hard Rock 2 might be an option. Yeah, to be frank, I think Sweden still has a lot of options. They could go Nomad 4 as well.
Nomad 4, of course, quite a possibility, but Japan has been performing quite well on a Nomad 4 as well. The score difference wasn't that big in the qualifiers. Of course, this Nomad 4 is different, but they don't know. They don't know how the other team's going to perform and how well the players like Scylla have been performing, and even the rest of the Swedish team. It is just super scary here for Japan, and despite them having really strong performances, you cannot count them out. This is not a C26 performance here from Japan, but against a super team like Sweden, one of the strongest teams of all time, it's just so difficult.
There it is.
The DT3.
There it is. It's going to be Heart of Night. Discovered this map all the way back in OWC 2019, as it was pulled in the qualifier,
2020,
quarterfinals. Sorry.
I think it was in 2020.
I believe it was 2019, if I'm not mistaken, because I have this memory of Romania playing this against Germany. So I might be mistaken. Somebody might fact check me on this one, but I believe it was quarterfinals of 2019. Very old classic map, Chaosless map, and I'm so excited. If Sweden is looking to close out the match on this one, I couldn't be happier. But I would like to see Japan give them a brilliant fight on this map. This is such a hard map. I'd argue maybe one of the hardest maps in the map pool, but maybe that's just because I'm skill issued.
Yeah, it's a very unique map. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is the hardest map or one of the hardest maps, but it's certainly one of the easiest maps to break in. It is a very unique in its own style. It's a kind of old finger control-ish map, and yeah, it's hard to really gauge something out of it. Even in the qualifier, Japan has played better, has outperformed Sweden on the DT3 in the qualifiers. So this map is a bit different, but quite similar as well. Interesting pick. Maybe Sweden is really just going for these bangers. I don't know.
So far, I mean, Sweden stepping in this with a lot of confidence. Their roster already completely built. I wonder if, yeah, we are going to see Untitled on the side of Japan with this map 36R stepping back in as well. So basically, most of the core roster for Japan. One thing to note that's interesting though is that we did mention that Hifu was the best performer for them in the qualifiers, but we didn't see that much of Hifu in that match. So.
Yeah, it seems like Sweden is just picking the maps that Hifu usually does not play. Although Hifu has played the DT3 in the qualifiers, so maybe just not feeling confident.
It was a very different DT3 though. The style was completely different. So yeah, this is a bit of a change of pace for Japan, adjusting the roster for this week's DT3, and so we're stepping in so far. We did see an early miss on the side of Grippe, but traded by Kinecon and 36R. So a bit of a combo lead on the side of Sweden. I'd like to see Japan do something on this map.
Yeah, still a lot of time to go. This is one of the longer maps in the pool. Fernandez 36 with DT, Autoline here breaking. Not a good start. And everyone else is still FCing except Concon on a barely FC, just breaking very early on. Does not matter that much yet. But with 4 FCs here on the side of Sweden, it's gonna be an uphill battle for Japan. They have to keep holding and hope for Sweden to break here.
Yeah, the only glimmer of hope really was that very early miss on Grippe, traded by Concon Kinecon, but it's basically 4-way FC on the side of Sweden right now. Very comfortable, and so far still the 99% accuracy on Grippe and Scylla, so a lot of comfort on the side of Sweden for this pick. I think they feel really confident. And I mean, Kupanpan and Concon are still holding. Autoline is recovering. Oh no, Autoline.
Australian,
so that's
probably the last combo that they wanted to lose on. Concon also breaking
well.
its only Shupon left, and I'm gonna go ahead. It's gonna be really difficult to perform like that against players like Scylla or Psycho. Does break now on the side of Sweden, but still 3 massive combos here on the side of Sweden, going score difference already 400,000 and going at the halftime and going further and further towards the Swedish side here.
Missing once again, and you did mention that miss from Saiga. It was a bit of an opening, but I mean, yeah, Japan just fell apart in that first Kai, and it's only Shupon now with any hope to bring this back on the side of Japan, with still almost 3 full combos, Grippe, Melwin, and Scylla being so comfortable. All 3 of them above 99% accuracy. What is this performance on the side of Sweden? That's actually insane. Saika is really the only one who's struggled in some of these patterns, as even Grippe recovered from that very, very early miss fantastically. Basically an FC reverse choke on the side of Grippe. And Autoling and 36R are stabilizing a little bit, but it is far from being enough, as now it's over 700k difference between these two teams. Confidence in this last pick on the side of Sweden is just immeasurable. Scylla, Melwin, Grippe not letting anything happen for Japan. Autoling's gonna miss once again. And we're about to reach the final. Oh, but Scylla is not going to get the 5 for 5. Going to be finding the first miss of the match for Scylla, but still an insane performance. And Grippe is falling actually now, so this could be maybe a little bit interesting. But the score lead is so massive, I don't think there's enough time, even if Melwin were to miss as well.
Yeah, there certainly isn't. Even if the entirety of Sweden were to fall apart at this point and Japan FC the rest, I don't think there's even then there's not enough time. I think it is very clear, and the score isn't changing, so it is very clear that Sweden's going to be taking this point and winning 5-0 against Japan. But not against the weak Japan. Yeah, Shupon FCing here all the way through, it seems like, but you cannot take this away from Japan. Japan has been performed really good, but what can you do against a team like Sweden that pretty much like gets 3 to 4 million every single map?
Yeah, the thing is, you gotta find at least one player to match Scylla, who's almost FCing everything, as we saw today. 4 out of 5 maps being FCs for Scylla. And despite the brilliant effort on Shupon, it's basically going to be the team consistency difference, as Concon, Autoling, and 36R are just not able to manage to match the recoveries on Saika, Grippe, and Scylla. And that is a very, very good score for Sweden to end this match. And this first match of Fortnite World Cup 2025 will be a sweep. 5-0. Sweden will be advancing to the next round in the winner's bracket, round 16. Whereas Japan is going to fall down to the loser's bracket to face an undetermined opponent. But yeah, very, very good match, and GG to both teams. And as you did mention, I want to really congratulate Japan on their performance, as even if it's a 5-0 sweep, they really showed good scores, multiple over 3 million scores on some of these maps. So, as you did mention, this definitely did not look like a C26 performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite quite a newer team, like a lot of newer teammates, it seems like some teammates didn't even play, I think, or barely played at all. But yeah, Sweden just kind of this unclimbable wall right now for Japan, despite their best efforts here. And we're gonna see Japan, of course, in the loser bracket. They're gonna be able to prove themselves in their next match next week. But it is gonna be, as you said, Sweden going into the next match and to the winner bracket. And yeah, got 20 minutes till the next match.
Taking a short break until we follow up with the next match, which will oppose Team Philippines to Team Finland. So stay tuned for that, as this is going to be a very close match seating-wise on paper at the very least, and will be commentated by myself and Floflorian once again. So taking a short break, and we'll be right back.